Hey y'all, it's Cassandra with Pecan Porch Boutique. Thank y'all so much for clicking on my video. Today I have 3 thrift flips for y'all. So let's get started with project number 1. So this project, y'all, this little storage box, and who doesn't love a storage box, was my mama's. And she and I picked it up together at a garage sale many years ago. And it was it's a pretty good size box on a metal stand, but the stand is not original to the box because I can tell underneath the box there were some feet on it, on the box itself. But someone, I guess over time, found this little stand and paired them together, which I think is good. Anyway, so I am going to make it over now, and I have cleaned it all up, and I've even scuff sanded some of the design off the top, and I'm going to be giving it one coat of DIY's mint chip. And now it's time for shellac, because I'm going to be using milk paint in the color Lantern, which is a black color that I've never used before. So I'm kind of excited about that. But I am going to give this box now, right over that mint chip paint, a very generous amount of this shellac. One of the elements that I'm going to be using, because I want to do a folk art themed or a folk art theme on this box. So I'm going to start out by using IOD's primitive mold. And y'all, I don't have any cornstarch. So I'm just going to use some baking soda, because that's what I got. Baking soda. That's what I got here. And so I'm just going to flour these up with some baking soda. I have some DOS clay. I'm just going to take some of that clay, too much of the clay because I'm an over clayer. And I'm going to just kind of massage it in my hands and start pushing it, mushing it into the mold. Once I get it into my mold, I'm just going to take my fingers and my thumbs to pull back that excess and really get it flattened down and get all those little details cleaned up so that I can then flip it over. And then I'm just going to kind of rock it back and forth and let gravity help me get it out. I've never done a folk art themed piece before, so I was really excited to see how this one was going to turn out. And I actually loved how it came out, but there was a couple of things in there that did not quite go my way, which you will see in a little while. But first, I am going to now get all of my molds on using Titebond Quick and Thick and some of the blue tape just to hold them there until that glue dries. I'm going to start by putting those elements up around the rim of this box, the very top part between where it opens and the body. And I am just going to make sure that I get that glue all the way out to the ends and try not to over glue as I over clay. And then just let them dry, making sure that I'm pressing down on each little piece of the mold, and periodically going back before it completely dries and making sure that those are tapped down too, because sometimes after you've put them on and they start to dry, they kind of start to lift a little. So going back to check and just tapping them down a little more with your finger never hurts. I'm just eyeballing the placement of these, y'all. I kind of tried to get them center and then kind of tried to space them out evenly on each side. And I didn't do too bad because I hate things that are off center if I'm trying to make it center. Anyway, so now I'm moving on to the lantern. This is Sweet Pickens milk paint. It is a powder paint that you mix up with a 1-to-1 ratio of powder, of the paint powder and water, or you can kind of mix it to your own desire, however you want to. If you want it a little bit thicker, you use less water. If you want it thinner, you add more water. And this is really a pretty black color, so I am just going to do one coat of this Sweet Pickens milk paint in the color Lantern. I am going right over my moles, y'all, because even though I'm going to come back and I'm going to add some color to the moles, I wanted it to have that black background. So that is why I'm just going to paint right over the moles. I'm only going to use one coat of the Lantern milk paint, but I did want to hit it with my heat gun as I laid it on in sections so as to promote that crackle, which I really did get some good crackle. Y'all will see that later on. But this is where things went a little astray, y'all. So I pulled out IOD's folk story stamp that I thought would go perfect with the whole folk art theme. And I used my StazOn ink in the color Pumpkin because I thought I would get some really good orange color on the top. So I stamped up my stamp, I laid it down, I held it with one hand, I tickled it with the other hand, I switched hands when I needed to. I did all the stamping things right. And then I lifted it up. Yep, I lifted it up and there was no orange. So I guess that pumpkin color was not deep enough to really show up on this lantern. That's kind of why you see me standing there looking like, well, what happened? I was like, well, that's a bummer. Anyway, I thought, okay, oh well, things happen in life, right? So I decided to just go with it. I thought, okay, well, it'll be a pretty silhouette at least. So I took some of DIY's, I think Liquid Sunshine, and I just kind of trimmed off the folk story stamp, and I decided that I was going to add a little bit of stenciling along that Liquid Sunshine color trim, just keeping in theme with the whole folk art, theme that I had going. And so that's what I'm doing here. I'm just adding some stencils around inside that yellow strip that I painted on. So moving on from that little mishap, now I am going to be using IOD's Fern Fables transfer. I love this transfer, y'all. And this transfer really screams folk art. It's so colorful. It has florals, it has birds, and they're all these unique type little butterflies, and everything is colorful. Nothing is really in rhythm, and I think that's kind of what I love about it. And I thought it would be perfect to add to the whole folk art theme. So I'm going to be adding the Fern Fables transfer to parts of this box, and that's what you see me doing here. And I've already added a clear coat with DIY's Liquid Patina. This is a good time though. You can see the beautiful crackle that I got with that shellac. And it did not crack back down to the mint chip, but I was okay with that. It actually cracked back to that original color, which was kind of that yellowy orangey color. And I liked it. And we are nearing the end of our folk art box, y'all. I have colored all of the molds in various colors using DIY paint, and now I'm coming in with DIY's Shipwrecked wax. It's kind of a verdigris green type wax. I'm going to put that all over the box first. I'm going to buff it back, and then I'm going to come back with some of DIY's clear wax and just kind of buff that in and have that shipwrecked wax, boy, that was a mouthful, kind of just sit down in those cracks, and then everything else gets that clear wax to kind of take away the haze. And this little box really turned out really pretty, y'all. If y'all are interested in any of the IOD stuff, I think I still have all of these on my website if you want to make your own folk art piece. And it is at pecanporchboutique.com. All right, y'all, we're all done. Let's take a look back at my mama's little box. I don't know if I'm going to be getting rid of this one or not, y'all. It turned out really pretty, I think. But it was just plain. And look at it now. I love how this turned out. My first folk art piece, and I think my mama would have loved this upcycle. It is so pretty. That lantern was perfect against that Fern Fable transfer, the molds and their colors. And I added a little bit of gold because I can't help it to the stand. What do y'all think? All right, let's move on to project number 2. This little stool, I think I got it at Goodwill, and I think I paid, or maybe no, I got it at a garage sale. Got it at a garage sale, and I paid $5 for it. And this was obviously someone's project because it had their name in the bottom, which they made very well. It has some weight to it, and it is made very well. So I am going to start out by just giving this little box a nice thick coat of shellac. For this stool, I am going to do a farmhouse theme. And so I'm going to start out by using IOD's toadstool mold. Y'all, this is one of my favorite molds. I just love these little toadstools. So again, I'm just going to use my baking soda because, am I saying soda? I'm trying to say baking soda. I'm going to use my baking soda, flour them up. I'm going to use my clay the same way I did with the other molds. And then I'm just going to make a couple of toadstools, and I'm going to add them to this piece before I start to paint. And I have pulled up an oldie but goodie, y'all. This is IOD's Village Market mold. This is the mold where you get the cow, the sheep, and the pig. And so I'm just going to cast a mold for the sheep and the pig, because I am also going to add them to this stool as well. Shellac is like every crafter's go-to. Whenever you see someone use shellac, more than likely they're going to do milk paint. So I'm coming back now with Sweet Pickens milk paint in Red Wagon. What a beautiful kind of a barnwood red color this is, y'all. I love it. I'm only going to do one coat, but it's a thick coat. And so I'm just going to get this all over this stool in the Red Wagon. In between, I'm going to be, or once I get through the section, I'll be hitting it with my heat gun to promote those cracks. I have not added my farm animals at this point, but I have added my mushrooms because I'm going to paint right over them in this Red Wagon as well. I will add my farm animals last because I don't really want them to have that red highlighted. I don't want them to be highlighted in red. But the mushrooms, I don't mind being highlighted in red, even though I'm going to add some other color to them. I've added one coat of DIY's beadboard to the top of this stool. And now I am going to be adding a piece of this paper. This is Roy Cycle's decoupage paper called Barnyard Masterboard. And I'm going to be using the cow to decoupage the top of this stool. So I've already cut it out, the portion that I need. I'm going to be using DIY's liquid patina as my medium to lay down my decoupage paper. And so I'm just going to start with an anchor strip here. I'm going to use some plastic wrap to push that paper into the liquid patina. I'm going to work in sections and move down my top of my stool. I always try to offload my medium away from the top of the paper, or the part of the paper that I've just decoupaged. And then once it's offloaded, I kind of go back underneath that little rim there, as you see me doing here, so that I don't get that glob of medium on the paper itself. And then I just continue to work my way down in sections, just taking my time and making sure that I press out all of those wrinkles. Once I get that all laid down, then I'll come back over the top with that same liquid patina, and I will cover all of that with the liquid patina and let that dry as well. I no longer retail DIY paint. However, I still love it and I still use it. But I do carry Roy Cycle decoupage paper on my website as well, if you want to try your very own barnyard themed project. I did 3 coats of the liquid patina on top, letting it dry in between. Once it was completely dry, I took a little piece of sandpaper and I trimmed off the edges. And once I did that, y'all, this little barnyard themed stool is complete. Let's take a look back. It was plain but very well put together. Bravo to whoever put this together. But take a look now, y'all. Look at that crackle. It's beautiful. And you can see that I added my sheep on one side, my pig on the other. I added a little detail to the mushrooms, and there's my cow on top. I love how it turned out. What do y'all think? Okay, y'all, let's move on. This is my third and final project for this video. This was also my mama's. This is a little, it's like a little side table, leather side table. And she's had this for a long time. I got this for her a long time ago. and it's definitely time for a makeover. So it's leather, and so some of the leather was kind of pulling apart. I took some of my super glue and I put those back together and made sure that they were adhering well now. And then it's time to paint. I'm going to be using DIY's Cherry Picked, and I am going to just kind of come over all of this, the whole cube, with this Cherry Picked paint. I'm doing this crosshatch motion with my brush. That kind of gives a little bit of texture when you don't want to add any type of texture medium. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm going to get this Cherry Picked in 2 coats all over this cube side table. Okay, of all of the stamps that IOD makes, Kindest Regards is by far my favorite. So here I am. I'm going to use the Kindest Regards stamp to kind of wrap this little leather side table cube in it. And I'm using IOD's black ink, and I am just going to ink it up and lay it down. And I have no fear of it not showing up this time. So my theme for this cube is romantic, kind of a romantic garden type theme. And so I'm going to be using IOD's Pistache, I think that's how you pronounce it, Pistache stamp. It's full of bird cages, birds, cloches. It's a really beautiful stamp. So I'm going to be using some of the bird cages from that Pistache stamp to add onto this little cube. I got my bird cages stamped on, and I've added some more of that Kindest Regards stamp as well. And I'm just going to kind of add it in, and not in, but around those bird cages as well. And well, you can't have a romantic garden without flowers, right? So I'm going to add some transfers from IOD's Flowers by the Poet. And I'll be adding those in and around different places on this little cube. I guess, is this a cube or a rectangle? Well, on this little leather side table, I'm going to be adding some flowers from Flowers by the Poet. Now, of course, my stamps are all dry, and I always seal my projects before I add transfers. That's just me. That's what I do. And so I've sealed this all up with some Big Top by DIY. And so these transfers are going on very, very well. Oh, and did I mention this little side table thing is not light? It is extremely heavy. I thought about putting some feet on it, but I think it would, number one, make it too tall because it's average height for a side table and it's already heavy. I mean, I wrestled with this thing, but all in all, I got it done. So I'm getting my transfers on. I am making sure that I kind of put them on opposite sides, or if I put them on the top on one side, I put it on the bottom on the other side, just kind of giving it a little bit of variety. So I wanted to do something to add a little bit of something to those little 45-degree angles there. And so I decided, I went back to one of my paint inlays, and I don't remember the name of it, but it had these trims on it. And they're kind of like little flowers on a vine. And so I'm going to add those to those 45-degree angles on each side. And I'm just going to add it using my liquid patina. I'm going to lay it in there, and then I'm going to just use a baby wipe to moisten it. There's no need for water. It's not that big. And then I'll let it dry. I'll use another baby wipe to dampen it, and then I'll peel it up. And I love how this came out. It really kind of gives it a little bit of a border, so to speak. But I thought it came out really good. So you'll see here now I'm just moistening. How do you say moisten? I'm wetting it up again, y'all. And then with the baby wipe, and then I am just going to peel it off. And I thought it came out really pretty. And then I sealed up the transfers with a DIY liquid patina DIY's Big Top once again. And this little cube is done. Time for us to take a look back. Look at Mama's little side table. It definitely was time for a makeover. And look at it now, y'all. With the bird cages and the flowers. I did the inside with DIY's French Millinery, which is a lighter color. Look at the background of that kind disregard stamp. I definitely think Mama would have been proud of this upcycle. I hope you guys like it too. That's all for now, y'all. Please don't forget that if you like it, share it, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment. Maybe you'll even join my tribe. Thank you guys so much. Until next time, don't forget to bud, bloom, and be unique. Bye for now.